What's up, everyone? All right, well, I'm bouncing back into the green today thanks to a couple of nice trades. We had one stock with a biotech catalyst. It was actually an interesting catalyst. We've seen a few other companies that have put out these headlines about using psilocybin psychedelics for the treatment of various disorders. And so we had a stock that made a pretty big move on that catalyst. There was another one earlier. And then just after the opening bell, we had two other stocks that made big moves. One from $11 up to over $20. The other from $7 up to about $12. So we're definitely seeing some volatility, and I'm grateful for that. Volatility creates opportunity. Yesterday, we kind of had a lack of volatility, which meant there wasn't much to work with. And although we had that one trade that I jumped into and I thought it was going to work, the combination of market data issues and, I don't know, sentiment being a little bit cooler, that one didn't pan out and I took the loss on it. But if we jump onto the screen share today, you'll see my trades. So this was one of these mornings where when I first logged into my platform, as I always do, I'm logged in my my main account. So Lightspeed, like many other platforms, allow you to sync multiple accounts. So I can sync my retirement account with a traditional margin account. Now, I don't typically want to trade in the traditional margin account because all of the gains are taxable. So if I switch over to my margin account, you'll see this is my first trade that I took, $3,152.35. Now, I realized as soon as I took the trade, I'm in the wrong account because I tried to take 15,000 shares, but I don't have the buying power in that account to do it. And so I only got the 5,000 shares filled. So I took the profit on that, whatever. I then switched to my retirement account for the rest of the trades. So my trading is split between these two accounts today. Not ideal. Just in the sense that I'll have a little bit of unnecessary taxable income on the margin account side, but it's not the end of the world. In any case, my small account challenge that I started in January of 2017 with $583, that challenge includes all of the profit from my retirement account because I created the retirement account from the profit of that challenge of those early years, which is when I made those initial contributions. Whereas my current margin account is just an account that I set up really so I could do demonstrations on short selling and some of the other components of trading that are you can't do in a retirement account. And so in any case, it's not part of my small account challenge. So I don't really like trading in it that much, number one, because it's taxable, and number two, because the profits don't count toward my goal of growing that what had once been an account with less than $600 as much as I possibly can. It's currently at a little over 20 million in gross profit. So yeah, does the $3,000 make a difference? No, not really, but I'd rather keep all the profits in that retirement account. And this is the only account right now that I use for the small account challenge. Well, it's not really a small account anymore, but you get the idea. Initially, I had used one of the offshore brokers because, of course, in those days, we still had the pattern day trader rule. And then in 2017, I switched over to Lightspeed, and I've now been using Lightspeed for almost 10 years with this account, and it's been great. All right, so in any case, as I sit here today, up 8,300 in my retirement and another 3,000 in the main account. The first trade was AXIL. So we'll look at that one first. AXIL. This one popped up this morning, and it had a headline, as you can see right here, of expanding a partnership with Walmart. And so, we actually traded this stock before. A partnership with Walmart is a good catalyst. I've got no problem with that headline. It's a decent headline. The only thing is that when I had looked at this headline the last time this company popped up, I thought it was kind of like, I don't really know how big of a deal it is. So they had announced a partnership, an initial launch with Walmart a few months ago, whatever. It's for hearing protection. So I don't know if these are like earplugs or earmuffs or whatever. I don't know. I just feel like I don't know how big of a deal this really is. In any case, the stock did pop up. And so as it started to pop up, I watched it for a pullback. So if I pull up the chart right here, you will see that the one trade that I took on it was right here where I jumped in on this little pullback at $9.37. So you can see right there, sorry, $9.39. So that was my entry right there. I wanted 15,000 shares, but I couldn't afford that because I don't have enough money in the margin account. So I only got 5,000 shares filled. All right, so I got in with 5,000 shares and I jumped out at 10.05, 10.01, $10 and $9.90. So $3,100 is pretty decent on a 5,000 share position. I mean, that's a solid trade. It would have been nicer if I'd gotten 15,000 shares and it had been in my retirement account, because then I would have been up almost $10,000 on the first trade right out of the gates. But you know, at the end of the day, it's also worth noting that this was lighter volume. That would have been a bigger position. I would have gotten more slippage on the entry and a little more slippage on the exit. So the total win would have been compressed a little bit. And so I don't know, might not have even been that great of a trade with bigger size. But with smaller size, I was able to jump in and jump out. Then it drops down, was watching maybe for a curl, higher volume rejection right there, watching the 1 minute chart after sort of that first 10-second pullback. And it just, you know, we had a higher volume red candle right there, boom, sells off, topping tails, then below VWAP, and there were no other trades on it. And now it's come all the way back down. Okay, so that was the first trade, and that was at like, what was it, 7 a.m.? 7:30. 8 a.m. That was at 8 a.m. So that was our first trade of the day. So after that, I switched to my retirement account, and I didn't think I was going to take any more trades. I thought that was it for me. 8:30 came and went, nothing, and then all of a sudden, XTLB pops up with a headline at, what was it, 9? It was just after 9. This popped up at 8:55. So 8:55. This headline comes up, and so we'll jump onto this other page here so we can scroll down a little bit more. So announcing an acquisition, establishing a leading psychedelic biotechnology platform, advanced clinical pipeline, for psilocybin technologies. So this has been a bit of a hot topic. We've had a couple other big moves on stocks in the psilocybin psychedelic medication space. You know, they've got some interesting results, and so that it's something that's being actively pursued. And so when I first saw it pop up, I saw it and I thought, with the catalyst, that could work, but I wasn't sure. And it's a little cheaper. So when it first popped up down here, I thought, it's a little cheaper, you know, 240 up to 340. That's nice. I don't know. We'll see. It drops down. And then right here, I'm kind of thinking maybe, and it pops up to 315, 320. And I'm sort of like looking at it. I have my order ready to get in at 320. Wasn't totally sure. It goes to 330. Then it drops down. It's like, no. And then it comes up here. I was like, I don't know. Double top breakout maybe. Then it pulls back. And then I got in right here. I got in right here at 344. It hits 354, drops down, and I was like, oh, you know, okay. I don't usually like to get in, and then, well, my average was, I think my average was actually right down here, but I don't like it when it pops up and then drops right down right away. But then it came back up, and then we got this really nice micro pullback there, and then it squeezes all the way up to a high of 408. So I took my profit off the table up here, but I added to the position thinking this was going to really move faster. And I didn't take anything off the table at 408. In fact, most of my exit was down here at 380. So 25 cents off the high. But still locked up some profit. It pulls back. It goes sideways. And then I did try getting back in. And we had this squeeze here. So I was watching it right here, and that didn't work. But I had previously tried to get in here, and it didn't work. So I saw it here, and I was like, I'm going to wait. And then it come up and I was like, I don't know. And then it breaks, pulls back, and then I got in right here and added. And I actually ended up adding all the way up here and then stopping out and giving back $700 off the top. So even though that worked, I lost on it because I added too high. And then it squeezed again at the open and then rolled over. Now, meanwhile, if you look at the volume today, SAGT has 89 million shares of volume. XTLB has 53 million. But, you know, there's a lot of volume on SAGT, and I think it was a little bit of a distraction. This is a stock that was a grinder, topping tails, up and then down, up and then down, up and then down, up and then down. It just wasn't easy. It didn't pull away. And so for me, I said, nope, I'm not even touching it. I don't want to mess with it. It's not worth it. And so I ignored it. Then we had our DAC pop up on the scans this morning. A little crazy because it went up all the way up to $12. It's now halted, coming back down at $9.90. So I first saw it on the scans in this area down at $6.50. It was up about 30% on the day, and it was on our low float top gainer scanner, currently up 100%, but it was up only 33% on the day. And I said to myself, I was like, well, I said, not to myself, I said to everyone who was tuning in this morning as part of my market commentary, I said, here's the problem with RDAC. It's a SPAC, a special acquisition company, special purpose acquisition company. These were really popular a few years ago. The idea with these companies is that it's a shell company that's created, and they sell shares at $10 a share. And anyone can buy shares. Institutions often buy big blocks of shares, millions of shares. Retail traders can buy them as well. And so you buy shares, and now the company, from all of those shares that they've sold at $10, what do they do with that money? What are you even buying? You're buying a shell company. So you're buying $10 a share, and what you're buying into is that the company will take all the money they've raised, and they're going to go find a privately held company to purchase, merge, and bring that privately held company public. So if someone wanted to buy, whatever, no one's going to do, well, SpaceX is doing its own IPO, but, let's just say like one of these companies goes to some privately held company that's, really popular and has a lot of buzz around it, that if all of a sudden the news got leaked that RDAC, was in talks with so-and-so about doing a merger, the stock would start going up even before the merger's announced. That's what happened with DWAC in 2021. There was rumors that they were going to be merging with Truth Social, and they did. And following the merger, they changed the symbol. Now, when the company does the merge, if you bought into the company at $10 a share, you could say, hey, actually, I don't want to own this new company. I don't want to be involved in it. And you can just get your money back at $10 a share. So you can do a redemption. And then after all the redemptions, the money they have left is what they can actually use to finance the deal. And sometimes it's a little less than the money they raised because of these redemptions. So why was RDAC going up today? Well, there was no news. It's a special purpose acquisition company. And so we were left wondering. And I said, basically, is someone out there speculating that maybe there's talk of a merger? Maybe. I haven't heard anything, so I don't know. But all the trade really is at this point is speculation and rumor. And it's possible that there's people that are more on the inside who know what's going on and who will either trade in that direction or will short the move. Now, of course, that's insider trading. But as we've seen in this market, it seems like, I don't even know if you can count the number of times we've seen insider trading, especially when it gets into the poly markets and stuff like that. So it feels like, I don't know, that especially with some of these moves, it just, the people behind this stuff don't seem to care at all. I don't know. Especially when it comes to companies that are foreign listed, Chinese, Malaysian, Singapore. So, I just steered clear of it. I just said, I don't know. I don't want to mess with it. I don't see what the catalyst is. I'm not sure. And then at the open, this is interesting. Pretty high volume here on this spike from 7 to 9. Didn't trade it. Comes back down. Then at the open, it goes from 7 to 13 on lighter volume. That's odd. That's a divergence. A bigger move, but on lighter volume, you wouldn't expect that. So, I don't know what to say about this one. And then EUDA, this one popped up on very light volume from $12 to $26. Right now, it has 204,000 shares of volume. That's it. So in terms of liquidity, there's not liquidity. I couldn't have bought and sold 20,000 shares of this. I would have gotten insane slippage if I tried, I would imagine. Look, if there was a big seller, I could have bought the shares from them. And then if there was a big buyer, I could have sold the shares to the buyer. And maybe I wouldn't have gotten slippage, but it doesn't feel like it would have been a low-risk trade by any means. So today felt a little bit, attention being dispersed. SAGT taking a bunch of attention earlier. And then we finally got, a few that worked a little bit better. But I don't know. Today was a little choppy. So you know what? I'm grateful to be walking away with some profit in my pocket between the two accounts. In my retirement account, it's $8,300. So tax-free, live to trade another day. I'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning. This is so far the best day of the week. Tomorrow's the last day of the month. So it's not, I'm not making the $75,000 that I kind of hoped I would make this week. I was up yesterday nicely before I went red. Disappointing, but it happens. So in any case, I'm just chipping away right now, and now we're getting our sights kind of on to the month of May. So new month right around the corner, and then we're about a month out from the PDT rule being part of history. So it was enacted on February 27th, 2001, and June 4th, 2026, it is going away. So as of June 4th, you'll be able to day trade with a $2,000 account, which is pretty darn exciting. But as always, make sure you're managing your risk, because trading a small account is risky. Trading in general is risky. So study up and practice a simulator before you put real money on the line. All right, so that's it for me. And again, I'll remind you as always that my results are not typical, so please take it slow. And I'll see you guys streaming tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.